June wiped sweat from his forehead as he sorted through the pile of broken machines. His salvage yard stretched across 5 acres on the outskirts of New Seoul, filled with what most people called junk. To June, it was treasure. "Hana, come look at this." June held up a cracked solar panel, his eyes bright with excitement. Hana walked over, her work gloves stained with oil. Before working at the salvage yard, she had been a military pilot. Now she helped June find and fix old technology. "What is it this time?" she asked. "The crack pattern on this panel. It's perfect. I can use it for the energy converter." June carefully placed the panel in his cart. The year was 2157. Earth was not doing well. Years of climate change and wars over resources had left the planet damaged. Many cities were underwater. Others faced terrible storms. Food was hard to grow, and clean water was precious. Yet people like June kept working, kept hoping. His salvage yard was one of the biggest in Korea. He collected broken machines, old computers, and scraps of metal. Then he fixed them or turned them into new things. "Any word from Da?" Hannah asked as they pushed the cart toward June's workshop. "He called this morning. The aliens want to meet tomorrow." June's voice was flat, but his hands shook slightly. 3 months ago, a spaceship had landed outside the United Earth Government headquarters. Aliens, real aliens, had come to Earth. They called themselves the Galactic Consortium, a group of 15 alien species who worked together to explore space. Dai, June's childhood friend, now worked as a diplomat for the government. He had been in the room when the aliens first spoke to human leaders. "What did they say to us?" June had asked Da that night. "They said we're primitive," Da had answered, his face tight with anger. "They said Earth is a mess. They offered to help us join their consortium, but as the lowest members, almost like servants." Now, after months of talks, the aliens wanted to see what humans could offer the galaxy. The next day, June stood nervously in the meeting hall. The United Earth Government had asked different experts to show their best technology to the aliens. June was there to talk about recycling and repurposing, turning old things into new useful things. The alien delegates sat at a long table. They looked very different from each other. Some had scales, others had fur. Some were tall and thin, others short and wide. But they all looked at the humans with the same expression, like adults watching children play. Day walked to the center of the room. "Honored representatives of the Galactic Consortium, thank you for this opportunity. Today we will show you some of Earth's technologies and innovations." The first few presentations went poorly. A scientist showed a new water cleaning system. The aliens whispered to each other and looked bored. An engineer showed a transport vehicle that could drive on rough ground. The aliens shook their heads. "Your combustion engines are inefficient and harmful," said one alien with blue skin and 4 arms. "We stopped using such technology thousands of years ago." Finally, it was June's turn. He rolled out a table with several objects on it. "My name is June. I work with recycling and repurposing technology." His voice was steady despite his nerves. "This is a home heating system made from parts of old refrigerators." He pointed to a metal box. "And this is a water filter created from plastic waste." An alien with green scales leaned forward. "You still manually sort your waste products. We have molecular separators that break down any material into its basic elements." "Yes, but," June tried to continue, "and you still use physical filters." "Primitive." The alien turned to the others. "Their entire planet is covered in waste, and they're solving it by hand." Laughter filled the room. Not human laughter, it was clicking and hissing sounds, but the meaning was clear. The aliens were laughing at him. June felt his face grow hot. "Our methods may seem simple to you, but they work with what we have. We can take broken or discarded items and give them new life." The tallest alien stood up. His skin was gray, and he had no hair. "Human, you are scrap collectors. Your greatest achievement is digging through your own garbage. The consortium needs innovation, not trash pickers. More alien laughter. Day stepped forward. We appreciate your assessment, but humans have survived difficult conditions by adapting. Perhaps this is a value we could bring to the consortium. The gray alien waved his hand dismissively. We will consider your application for patronage status. This means you would serve the consortium while learning from us. In time, perhaps centuries, you might earn full membership. The meeting ended soon after. As the aliens filed out, Jum stood alone by his table of inventions. Hannah walked over and put her hand on his shoulder. Don't listen to them, she said quietly. They're right, though. June looked down at his hands. Compared to their technology, we're nothing. That's not true. Hannah's voice was firm. We're still here, aren't we? After all the disasters, all the wars, humans are still fighting to survive. That counts for something. Back at the salvage yard, Jun couldn't sleep. He paced around his workshop, moving from one project to another. The aliens' laughter echoed in his mind. Scrap collectors, he muttered as he picked up a broken military radio. Trash pickers. He placed the radio next to an old microwave. Both were broken, but parts of each still worked. Jun had been planning to combine them into a short-range communication device. His eyes drifted to the cracked solar panel he had found yesterday. Next to it was a damaged battery from an electric car. Then there was a pile of copper wire salvaged from a collapsed building. Suddenly, Jun stopped pacing. He looked at all the broken pieces spread across his workbench. Each item was useless alone, but together. Hannah, he shouted, even though it was the middle of the night. Hannah. She appeared in the doorway minutes later, hair messy from sleep. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. Everything's right. June was already connecting wires to the solar panel. I need your help. Bring me that battery and the converter from the old military drone. Hannah didn't ask questions. She had worked with June long enough to know when he had an idea worth pursuing. For the next 12 hours, they worked without stopping. They connected the cracked solar panel to the car battery. They added parts from the military radio. They rewired the microwave's power system. As the sun rose, June attached the final wire. The device on the workbench looked strange, a mess of different parts held together with solder and hope. What is it? Hannah asked, exhausted but curious. An energy converter. June's eyes were red from lack of sleep, but he was smiling. The solar panel captures light, but it also captures other types of energy. Heat, radio waves, even sound. The military radio parts help focus this energy. The microwave components amplify it. And the car battery stores it. So it's a better solar panel. It's more than that. June pointed to a small meter on the side of the device. It was showing a steadily rising number. It's converting ambient energy from all around us, energy that's just floating in the air, being wasted, into usable power. Hannah stared at the meter. Is that possible? According to everything I learned in engineering school, no. But it's working. June laughed. We're using scrap to do something the aliens probably never considered. He connected a small lamp to the device. It lit up instantly, brighter than it should have with such a small power source. Call Da, June said. Tell him not to agree to the aliens' patronage offer. Tell him humans have something valuable to offer the galaxy after all. As Hannah reached for her phone, June looked at his creation made of Earth's discarded scraps. The aliens had laughed at him, at all humans, but maybe, just maybe, Earth's greatest weakness was about to become its greatest strength. 1 year had passed since the aliens of the Galactic Consortium had laughed at Earth's technology. 1 year since June had created his energy converter from scraps in his workshop. And what a year it had been. June's small salvage yard was now a busy research center. The United Earth government had given him money, space, and people to help develop his ideas. His workshop, once filled with just him and Hannah, now buzzed with 30 workers. June, the test results are ready. said Bin, a young programmer who had joined the team 6 months ago. Bin was quiet but brilliant. He created the computer programs that controlled June's inventions. June looked up from his workbench. "Show me." Bin handed him a tablet. On the screen, numbers and graphs showed how the newest version of the energy converter was working. "This is amazing," June said, his eyes wide. "The efficiency is at 70%. That's twice what we had last month." Across the room, Hannah was working with a team to build a larger version of the converter. Her military experience helped her organize the workers and keep everything running smoothly. "How's the ship coming along?" June asked as he walked over to her. Hannah smiled. It was a tired smile, but a real one. "Una says it will be ready for a test flight next week." Una was the head of Earth's new space program. When she had first seen June's energy converter, she had immediately understood what it could mean for space travel. "If we can power a ship with this technology," she had said, "we won't need large fuel tanks. We can convert energy from space itself, from light, from radiation, even from the solar wind." Now, that dream was becoming real. In a large building next to the research center, workers were finishing Earth's first new spaceship in decades. They called it the Phoenix, a bird from old stories that rose from ashes to live again. Like the bird, the ship was rising from Earth's broken past. The Phoenix was special in another way, too. Almost everything in it was made from recycled materials. Old airplane parts formed the control systems. Salvaged computers ran the navigation. Even the hull was made from melted-down scrap metal, treated with a new process June had developed. "Day is calling," Vin said, holding out a phone to June. June took the phone. "Hello." "They're coming back," Daz said without greeting. His voice was tense. "The consortium. Their ship entered our solar system this morning. They'll be here tomorrow." June's heart beat faster. Tomorrow. The Phoenix isn't ready yet. It doesn't matter. They're coming to give us their decision about Earth joining the consortium. They don't know about the Phoenix or your converter. We kept it secret, just like you asked. June nodded, though Day couldn't see him. After the first meeting with the aliens, June had asked Day to tell the government to keep their new technology secret. He wanted to surprise the aliens, to show them that humans weren't just scrap collectors. "We'll be ready," June said. The next day, June, Hannah, Bin, and Yuma stood with Dai and other government officials as the alien ship landed. It was the same ship from a year ago, sleek, silver, and much more advanced than anything humans had built before, at least anything until the Phoenix. The same alien stepped out, led by the tall, gray one who had called humans trash pickers. June clenched his fists but kept his face calm. "Representatives of Earth," the gray alien said, "we have considered your application to the Galactic Consortium." Day stepped forward. "And your decision? We will accept Earth as a patronage world. You will provide basic resources and labor. In return, we will give you simple technology to help clean your planet. In 100 years, we will review your status." Murmurs ran through the human officials. Some looked angry, others resigned. The offer was insulting, but many thought Earth had no choice. "We thank you for your offer," Daz said formally. "Before we respond, we would like to show you something. A small project we've been working on this past year." The gray alien looked annoyed but nodded. Day gestured, and a large screen behind him lit up. It showed a live video feed from the hangar where the Phoenix waited. "This is the Phoenix," Day said, "Earth's first interstellar vessel." The aliens looked at the screen with mild interest that quickly turned to confusion. "That is not possible," said the blue alien with 4 arms. "Your technology is too primitive to build such a ship." "Yet we did build it," Jum said, stepping forward. "And not with your advanced technology. We built it from our scrap." The hangar doors on the screen opened slowly. The Phoenix moved forward into the sunlight. It wasn't as sleek as the alien ship. Its hull showed the different metals it was made from, giving it a patchwork look. But it was beautiful in its own way, a testament to human creativity and resilience. The Phoenix is powered by an energy converter we developed, Jum continued. It can draw power from multiple sources, light, radiation, heat, and convert it with high efficiency. Such technology would require materials you don't have access to, the green-scaled alien said dismissively. We don't need special materials, Hannah said. We use what we have in new ways. The converter uses parts from old radios, microwaves, and solar panels. The aliens looked at each other. For the first time, they seemed uncertain. We would like to see a demonstration, the gray alien said finally. Yuma stepped forward. We planned a test flight for next week, but we can move it up. The ship is ready. I will pilot it, Hannah said. 2 hours later, Hannah sat in the Phoenix's control room. Through the video link, everyone at the landing site could see her. The aliens had insisted on coming to the hangar to inspect the ship more closely. They walked around it, scanning it with their devices, their faces showing increasing surprise. All systems ready, Hannah reported. Beginning launch sequence. The Phoenix's engines started with a low hum, very different from the roar of old rocket engines. This was the sound of Jum's converter at work, pulling energy from the world around it. The ship rose slowly at first, then faster. Soon it was a dot in the sky, then nothing. She'll take it to the moon and back, Yuma explained. The round trip should take about 2 hours. The aliens were silent, watching their own devices. After several minutes, the blue alien spoke. According to our scanners, your ship is already past Earth's moon. This is not possible with the technology you should have. June smiled. Yet it is happening. Suddenly, alarms sounded from the alien ship. The aliens rushed to check their equipment. 3 Vorik ships have entered your solar system, the gray alien said urgently. They must have followed us. Who are the Vorik? Day asked. Another spacefaring group, not part of the consortium. They are aggressive. They take technology and resources from others. More alarms sounded. On the big screen, which now showed a view of space from Earth's defense satellites, 3 new ships appeared. They were black and angular, moving fast toward Earth. We must leave, the gray alien said. The Vorik must not know we are here. A loud explosion cut off his words. One of the Vorik ships had fired on the Phoenix. Hannah, June shouted. On another screen, they could see Hannah inside the Phoenix. She was calm, her hands steady on the controls. I see them, she said. 3 ships, they're firing again. The Phoenix twisted in space, avoiding most of the energy beams. One hit its side, but something strange happened. Instead of exploding, the Phoenix seemed to absorb the energy. The patchwork metal of its hull glowed briefly. The converter is working, Ben said excitedly. It's taking the energy from their weapons and using it. Hannah turned the Phoenix toward the Vorik ships. No one had planned for the ship to have weapons. It was just a test vessel. But now Hannah used the ship itself as a weapon. She flew directly at the first Vorik ship, absorbing its weapon fire. Then she released all that stored energy in a sudden burst. The Vorik ship's systems failed, and it drifted powerless in space. Hannah did the same with the second ship. The third tried to flee, but the Phoenix was faster now, powered by all the energy it had absorbed. Soon, all 3 Vorik ships were disabled. When Hannah returned to Earth 2 hours later, the aliens were waiting with new respect in their eyes. We have misjudged humans, the gray alien said to Da. Your creative use of resources is unlike anything in the consortium. We would like to discuss a different kind of membership for Earth. Day nodded, but his eyes were on June, Hannah, and their team. The people who had taken Earth's scraps and turned them into something that could change humanity's future among the stars. 5 years had passed since the battle with the Vorik ships. Earth had changed in ways no one could have imagined. The energy converter technology that Jum created had spread around the world. It helped clean the air, power cities and build more ships like the Phoenix. Now, humans were not just surviving. They were exploring space. Admiral Min stood on the bridge of the Earth ship Reclaimer. At 50 years old, Min had gray in her hair and lines on her face, but her eyes were sharp and clear. Through the large window, she watched as her fleet of 10 ships moved slowly through a field of space debris. "Admiral, we're detecting metals and rare elements throughout the field," reported a young officer. Min nodded. "Tell the collection teams to begin work." This debris field was once a space station built by an alien species that had died out long ago. Other aliens from the consortium had tried to study it, but they had given up. The technology was too damaged to be useful, they said. But humans saw things differently. Small ships left the Reclaimer and moved among the broken pieces of the station. Workers in spacesuits carefully collected parts that looked useful. They didn't just take the obvious pieces. They took everything. Bent metal, broken glass, damaged computer parts. Nothing was too small or too broken. "Admiral, we have a call from Earth," the communications officer said. Min turned from the window. "Put it through." The screen lit up to show Sue, Earth's chief negotiator with alien civilizations. At 36, Sue was younger than Min, but just as respected. "Hello, Admiral," Sue said. "How is the collection going?" "Very well. We'll have the ships full by tomorrow. This station has materials we've never seen before." Sue smiled. "Good. The consortium is asking when we'll deliver the next batch of converters." After the battle with the Vork, Earth had made a new deal with the Galactic Consortium. Humans would share their converter technology in exchange for knowledge about space and access to other star systems. It was a good arrangement for both sides. "Tell them 2 weeks," Min said. "June and Bin have made improvements to the design. The new converters are 30% more efficient." "Excellent. The consortium will be pleased." Sue paused. "There's something else. The Icarians have asked for our help." Min raised her eyebrows. The Icarians were one of the oldest and most advanced species in the consortium. They rarely asked for help from anyone, especially not from newer species like humans. "What do they need?" Min asked. "They have an abandoned mining outpost on Moon T-457. It was damaged in a solar storm 50 years ago. They want to use it again, but they say repairs would take them 5 years. Sue's eyes twinkled. "I told them humans could do it in 3 months." Min laughed. "Bold of you. Who are you sending?" "Kang and the Reclamation Corps." Min nodded. Kang had been a construction worker before the aliens came to Earth. Now he led the Reclamation Corps, a special group that specialized in fixing and repurposing abandoned alien technology. They were the best at what they did. "The Icarians will be surprised," Min said. "That's what I'm counting on," Sue replied. "The more we impress them, the better our position in the consortium becomes." After the call ended, Min went back to watching the collection ships. In just 5 years, humans had gone from being laughed at to being valued throughout the galaxy, all because they saw value in things others threw away. Kang looked at the abandoned mining outpost through the window of his ship. At 42, he had strong hands and a mind that could see how to fix almost anything. The outpost was a mess. Half of its dome was cracked, equipment was scattered around, and nothing had power. "Not bad," he said. His second-in-command, a woman named Jay, looked at him with surprise. "Not bad. It's a disaster." "I've seen worse," Kang said with a smile. "Remember that space station orbiting Neptune? This is a minor repair job compared to that." The Reclamation Corps ship landed near the outpost. Kang and his team of 50 workers put on their spacesuits and went outside. The moon had no air, and its surface was covered in red dust. "First team, start collecting all broken equipment," Kang ordered. "Second team, check the dome structure. Third team, let's look at the power systems." The workers moved quickly, gathering broken pieces and taking them to their mobile workshop. There they would see what could be fixed, what could be repurposed, and what was truly useless. Very little was truly useless to the Reclamation Corps. After 2 days of work, Kang had a plan. "We'll use the broken solar panels to create a modified converter," he told his team. "The cracked dome pieces will be melted down and reformed, and these damaged mining robots can be reprogrammed to help us build." An Icarian observer named Trell watched with curiosity. The Icarians looked like tall humans, but with silver skin and 6 fingers on each hand. Trell had been sent to report on the humans' progress. "Your plan is unusual," Trell said to Kang. "Our engineers would replace these broken components with new ones. That takes time and wastes resources," Kang replied. "We prefer to work with what's already here." Trell seemed doubtful, but said nothing more. The work continued day and night. The humans set up converter-powered lights and worked in shifts. They melted down broken metal to make new supports for the dome. They fixed the mining robots, which then helped with the heavy lifting. They turned damaged computer systems into a new control network. 2 months later, the outpost was almost finished. The dome was repaired. The living areas were clean and ready, and the mining equipment was working better than before. Trell was amazed. "How did you finish so quickly?" he asked Kang. "By using everything," Kang said simply. "Where your people see garbage, we see opportunity." Word of the Reclamation Corps' success spread quickly through the consortium. Soon, other alien species were asking for human help with their abandoned outposts and stations. Meanwhile, trouble was brewing. The Vorik Imperium had not forgotten their defeat at human hands. For 5 years, they had watched as humans spread their technology through the consortium. They saw how human ships collected junk from space and turned it into valuable resources. "These humans are a threat," said Vorik Commander Gall to his war council. Gall was large, with gray skin covered in hard plates and eyes that glowed red. "Their converter technology gives them an advantage we cannot allow." "Their main fleet is small," said one of his officers. "Only 20 large ships." "But their technology is spreading," Gall replied. "Already 5 consortium species are building their own versions of human converters. If this continues, the Imperium will lose its power." The War Council nodded in agreement. "We will strike at their new colony," Gall decided. "The one they built from the ancient space station in Sector 7. We will destroy it and show the galaxy that human scrap technology is no match for Vorik weapons." The ancient space station had been abandoned for 300 years before humans found it. Now, it was Earth's first off-world colony, home to 5,000 people. Engineers had reinforced its structure. Jume's converters powered every system. Families lived in sections that were once empty and broken. Kang had led the team that transformed the station in just 30 days, a feat alien engineers said would take years. Now the station, named New Hope, was a symbol of human resourcefulness. Sue was visiting the station when the alarm sounded. She rushed to the control room, where the station's governor was staring at a screen with worry. "Vorik ships," the governor said. 30 of them, heading straight for us." Sue felt cold fear in her stomach. New Hope had some defenses, but nothing that could stop 30 Vorik warships. "Send a message to Earth and to the consortium," she said. "Tell them we need help." But even as she spoke, she knew help would come too late. The nearest Earth fleet was 2 days away. The consortium ships were even farther. "We need to evacuate," the governor said. Sue looked at the screen, at the approaching Vorik fleet. Then she looked out the window at the colony they had built from scrap. 5,000 people called this place home. Children went to school here. Gardens grew food here. "No," she said firmly. "We won't run. Not yet." She turned to the communications officer. "Get me Admiral Min and Kang. I have an idea." The Vorik were coming to destroy what humans had built from scrap. But they didn't understand that turning scrap into something valuable was what humans did best, and New Hope had plenty of scrap left to work with. The 30 Vorik warships moved closer to New Hope Station. Inside the station, Sue's plan was taking shape. Kang had arrived hours ago with his reclamation court, and they were working faster than ever before. We have 12 hours before the Vorik are in firing range, Sue told Kang as they stood in a large workshop filled with people and parts. We'll be ready, Kang promised. Every piece of scrap on this station is being put to use. All around them, workers were building small devices with converter technology inside. Others were modifying the station's outer hull. Children were even helping, sorting small parts and carrying tools. Sue's communicator beeped. "Admiral Min is calling," she said, and answered it. Min's face appeared on the small screen. "Sue, we're pushing the engines to their limits. We'll arrive in 20 hours. "That's 8 hours too late," Sue said. "But we have a plan. Can you contact the Galactic Consortium? We need as many ships as possible to come after you." "Already done," Min replied. "But I should warn you, many Consortium members are hesitant to fight the Vorik. They may decide to let New Hope fall rather than risk war." Sue nodded. It wasn't surprising. For all the progress humans had made, many alien species still saw them as newcomers, not worth fighting for. "Then we'll just have to show them why that's a mistake," she said. On the Vorik command ship, Commander Gall watched New Hope Station grow larger on his screen. He expected the humans to flee, to send escape ships running in all directions. Instead, the station remained in place. There were no escape pods, no distress signals. "Scan the station," he ordered. His officer worked the controls, then looked up with confusion. "Sir, there is unusual activity on the outer hull. The humans appear to be attaching things to it." "Weapons?" Gall asked. "No, the energy signatures are too small. They might be repair units." Gall laughed, a harsh sound. "They think they can repair their way out of destruction. Typical human foolishness. Continue approach." Inside New Hope, a young woman named Jun stood beside Kang, watching as the last of their devices was installed. Jun was 27 and the daughter of June and Hannah. She had grown up with converter technology and had improved many of her father's designs. "Will it work?" she asked. "It has to," Kang replied simply. Jun's latest invention was at the heart of their plan. She called it a mass converter. It could take energy from June's converters and transform it into solid matter. Simple matter like metal or plastic, but solid nonetheless. It was still experimental, using more power than it produced in material, but today that didn't matter. "The Vorik will be in range in 30 minutes, announced a voice over the station speakers. Jun went to the control room where Sue was directing the defense. Screens showed the 30 Vorik ships in formation, ready to attack. "All converters are at maximum power," Jun reported. "Mass converters are online and programmed with the patterns." Sue nodded. "Now we wait. And hope." The Vorik ships fired their first volley. Bright energy beams shot toward New Hope, striking its hull. But instead of exploding, the beams seemed to sink into the station. The hull glowed where the energy hit, then returned to normal. "What happened?" Gall demanded. "Why is the station still intact?" "Sir, they're using energy absorbers," his officer replied. "Like the ship that defeated our patrol 5 years ago." "Fire again." "Full power," Gall ordered. The Vorik ships fired a second, stronger volley. Again, the beams hit New Hope, and again the station absorbed the energy. But this time, something new happened. The spots where the energy hit began to grow outward from the station's hull. "What are those?" Gall asked, staring at the strange growths. "They appear to be." "Sir, they're forming into defensive platforms," the officer said in disbelief. "The humans are using our weapon energy to create new structures." Inside New Hope, Jun watched her mass converters work. They took the energy from the Vorik weapons, collected by her father's converters, and transformed it into new defensive platforms, built according to patterns Kang had programmed. "It's working," she said. "The more they fire, the more defenses we build." The Vorik fired a third time. Now dozens of small defensive platforms surrounded New Hope, each one made from energy that had been meant to destroy the station. "Activate the platforms," Sue ordered. Jun pressed a button. The newly formed platforms came to life. They didn't have enough power to fire weapons, but they didn't need to. Instead, they began to emit a signal that interfered with the Vorik ship's systems. On his ship, Gall watched in horror as his controls began to fail. "What's happening?" "The human platforms are sending out jamming signals," his officer explained. "Our weapons are offline. Communications between ships are down." "This is impossible." Gall slammed his fist on his chair. "How can they create technology from nothing?" "Not from nothing, sir," the officer said quietly. "From our own attack energy." The standoff continued for 8 hours. The Vorik ships floated helplessly, unable to attack or retreat properly. Then new ships appeared on the long-range scanners. "It's Admiral Min," Jun said as the Earth fleet arrived. Min's voice came through the communication system. "Looks like you didn't need our help after all, Sue." "We still do," Sue replied. "Our jammers won't hold forever. The Vorik will eventually reset their systems." Min's ships surrounded the Vorik fleet, weapons ready. But before they could act, more ships arrived. Sleek vessels from various consortium species. "This is Hyun of Earth, representing the Galactic Council," said a new voice. At 60 years old, Hyun was Earth's highest representative in the consortium. "Commander Gall, your unprovoked attack on New Hope Station is a violation of consortium law. Surrender your ships." For a moment, there was silence. Then Gall's angry voice replied, "The Vorik do not recognize consortium authority. This human colony is an affront to the Imperium." "Perhaps," Hyun said calmly, "but these 15 consortium battleships recognize our authority, as do Admiral Min's ships. You are outnumbered and outmaneuvered. Surrender." More tense minutes passed. Then, one by one, the Vorik ships powered down their engines in the universal sign of surrender. The battle for New Hope became famous throughout the galaxy. The story of how humans had turned an attack into a defense spread quickly. More species wanted human technology. More abandoned outposts and stations were given to Earth for colonization. 20 years after aliens first came to Earth and laughed at human technology, a special meeting was called at the Galactic Consortium headquarters, a massive space station orbiting a neutral star. Hyun stood proudly as Earth was officially given a permanent leadership position on the Galactic Council. It was the highest honor in the galaxy, usually reserved for species that had been spacefaring for thousands of years. After the ceremony, an alien approached an older man who watched from the side of the Grand Hall. The alien had gray skin and no hair, the same one who had once called humans scrap collectors and trash pickers. "Are you Jun?" the alien asked. Jun nodded. At 55, his hair was gray and his hands showed the wear of years of work, but his eyes were still bright with intelligence and creativity. "I was there," the alien said, "at the first meeting on Earth. I laughed at your recycling technology." "I remember," Jun said. The alien bowed his head, a gesture of deep respect. "I was wrong. Your people's ability to see value where others see waste has changed the galaxy. Species that fought for centuries now work together to repurpose old technology. Planets once thought uninhabitable are now thriving colonies, thanks to your converter technology." The alien held out a small box. "The Council asked me to give you this. It is our highest honor." Jun opened the box. Inside was a medal, made from a familiar-looking metal. "It is made from a piece of the first ship we landed on Earth," the alien explained. "We thought it fitting that it be repurposed." Jun smiled as he held the medal. From the other side of the room, he saw his daughter Jun watching him. Next to her stood Hana, his wife and partner in all their adventures. Da, Bin, Kang, Min, Sue, all the humans who had helped turn Earth's weakness into its greatest strength, were there too. "Thank you," Jun said to the alien. "But the real honor is seeing what we've built together. From scraps to stars. That's the human way. Later, Jum stood at the viewing window of Earth's newest flagship, the Reclaimer Prime. She watched as ships from across the galaxy arrived for the celebration of 20 years since Earth joined the stars. The once polluted planet below now gleamed with clean cities and renewed nature. "What do you think?" asked Ta, the commander of Earth's defense fleet, as he joined her at the window. "I think my father was right," Jun replied. "The aliens laughed at our scrap, but now it rules the galaxy." Outside the window, Earth ships moved among the stars, collecting broken pieces and abandoned technology that others had thrown away. Just as they always had, just as they always would. Finding value in what others missed, that was humanity's gift to the galaxy. And the galaxy was better for it.